Here we are wrapping up the first Bass Pro Tour event here on Lake Toho, Lake Kissimmee. Man, what an event. This was new to me. Major League Fishing format was definitely different for me. It was my first event fishing that way, and every fish counting, penalties, you got the score tracker, all that coming into play was definitely different for me. But the fishing was no different. Still going out trying to catch the biggest ones we can, trying to catch as many as we can. We had a shorter practice period than we're used to. We're down to like a day and a half of practice now. So I went through some things in practice and found areas that I thought were good. They really didn't end up panning out. And so you guys know how that is when you have fish in practice and then you don't have them in the tournament. You have to kind of scramble and find new stuff. And that's what I ended up doing, and it just didn't pan out for me. I ended up finishing, I had to be in the top 20 to make the next day, and I was in 22nd. So great, not a bad tournament, not a great tournament. Kind of feel like I got my feet wet a little bit with the Major League Fishing format, and I'm really ready to get to Conroe and get a little revenge on it. But how I caught my fish this week, pretty simple, pretty Florida setups, pretty typical Florida setups. One of them was on an NEPS 8.6 heavy fast, HF, heavy fast. That's a 7.2 rod. I was just pitching around a little trick worm. A lot of fish that were spawning up in these canals. There's not a lot of fish spawning. The water temperature had dropped with some cold fronts that had came through here. But if I got up in the canals, I could catch some fish that were still spawning. And they seemed to want to bite this little straight worm for some reason. So in this Elite Pro Series blank, just a good rod that will handle a small, I'm throwing it on a 3/16 ounce weight, 7.2 in length, so it's still long enough to handle a good, big fish, but at the same time I could feel, fish and feel that little worm. 17 pound Seaguar Raise X on that. The cover I was fishing around wasn't too heavy, but the water wasn't really clean either, so I could get away with 17 just in case the fish got into something. But NEPS, Elite Pro Series, I love these blanks. I probably build more of them than I do anything just because they're the bridge between the gap of durable and sensitive. So like them. That was probably one that put the most fish in the boat with me is the little worm. Secondary, when I was trying to cover water in pads, these big pad fields, it ended up that's probably what got me in trouble more than anything is I was having to spend so much time in these pad fields just to get a few bites. But I was swimming a worm. June bug color, just like I was on the other worm. But I was throwing this on a MHX MB873. Now you guys have heard me talk about that 100 times. You can buy this rod in one of my rod kits, put it together. If you're looking for a first rod to build, this is the rod you need to build, and you need to build a couple of them actually. They're just really handy, really versatile. 7.3 medium heavy, and what that would allow, that when I was winding that worm, it would allow a fish to get it, kind of absorb the bite, and then still get the hook into them. So throwing that on 20 pound Seaguar and VizX, just so I had a little extra weight in that line because I was fishing around pads and things. I wasn't really wanting to throw braid, but I wanted enough weight to that line. I wasn't scared about breaking it. So MB873 carried the worm when I was swimming it. NEPS 8.6 heavy fast when I was just pitching that worm around. And I either fished canals or I was fishing some pad fields with mixed hydrilla. Just didn't get enough bites here on day 2 to make it into the day 3 cut. But the Major League Fishing format is exciting. I think everything went well this week for the first event, the inaugural Bass Pro Tour. The score tracker is something I'm going to have to get used to. You always know when you're out there fishing a tournament, you guys know this too, that when you're out there, other people are catching bass. You know that for sure, but that score tracker tells you what they're catching and how many they're catching and when they're catching them. It's just amazing how quick these guys can put fish on the score tracker. So I'm ready to go to Conroe because I like Conroe. We know we got a little history there. We had a good classic. My biggest bass I've ever caught was there. So I'm looking forward to going there, putting some fish on the score tracker, maybe putting together a little bit better tournament than I did here. But we appreciate the support. You guys keep looking forward to Conroe, and MLS bringing a lot of cool things. Bass Pro Tour. We'll see you at Conroe.